Hey yo, Z-Man, Suicide Polo with the Ski Man. You heard we back with that part 5 of the Sumner series. Shout out to the guard, Black Knowledge, Brooklyn legend. Shout out to the whole Bed-Stuy. You heard? We just here documenting that true Brooklyn history, man. That's all we doing. You heard? Comment gang. I need y'all to tear this to shreds. Slim Blunt gang, let me know you out there repping. You heard? Shout out to that truck gang. All my dudes on the road pushing them 18 wheelers across the country, tuning into the channel. You heard? Shout out to all the supporters out there that be showing that love. Hey yo, if you out there and your story is worthy of a film or a movie or a documentary, holla at me. Let me know what that story is about. You heard? Email to genpopllc@gmail.com. You want to donate to the channel? $ genpopfam on Cash App. Somebody was asking me about that too the other day. They was like, yo, tell Black Knowledge to tell you the story about what them niggas from Sumner did in the courtroom.
They winked out. You know what I mean? Winked out. And so I got permission to tell an accurate, 100% correct story. So I'm going to tell an accurate, 100% correct story. So the legend is, and the myth is that, you know, they was trying to, you know, pull a George Jackson or something, solo that brother escape. I mean, we implemented a curfew in my hood. And to enforce that curfew, we implemented this thing that we started called Project Patrol, where, you know, we would come out like around 7:30 because the curfew was 8 o'clock, so we would come out around 7:30, you know, give the war call, the war cry to AO, and dudes would congregate wherever the AOs originated from, and we would break off into sections, groups of like 5, 6, because you kind of always wanted to have, like, because on those patrols, you never know what type of resistance or what you was going to run into. So I always wanted to make sure that, you know what I mean, everybody was covered. I didn't want to just send 1 or 2 dudes, because what happens if you run into a group of dudes and you try to enforce something and you know, they grippy just like you are. So try to make sure it was like at least 5 to 7 dudes every time we were going on Project Patrol. So what we do is we would start on one side of the project, and we would like literally break out, spread into our groups, and then like march all through. So if it's 4 sides, if we cover 4 corners, and it's like 4 groups of dudes, and it's like 7 dudes to a group, 28, whatever, 24, whatever, or 20, depending on how many dudes it was, we would start off respectively on different sides of the project, and then we would kind of meet in the middle after we ensured that everything was good. So we had like little walkie-talkies and shit. It was crazy because it was kind of militant. It wasn't kind of, it was actually militant and kind of like organized the way we did it. So we would talk on the walkie-talkie, dudes on the other side of the project. We'd be like, yo, we over this side, we over here by troop and murder everything Gucci over here. You know what I mean? No outsiders over here. Same thing. They would say the same shit from the Lewis side and all that. So what I told you originally was that the curfew was 8 o'clock, and I told you about a situation that where we kind of gave a dude a pass. Whatever, this dude kind of became cool, you know what I mean, with us, and was fucking with us later on certain periods of the stories, and then, you know, then we weren't really fucking with each other, whatever. But long story short, a couple cats used to come see the girls that I told you about in my projects, Tiffany and Novell, and they whole little clique. These dudes was from Roosevelt. One of the dudes from Roosevelt, his name was Mitch Blitz. I was like, you know what I mean, everybody know the story. They know that's my little man and whatever. We kind of came up together, went on the island together, and went up top in Elmira and all that. Mitch from Roosevelt, that was one of my homies and all that. And Mitch was a tough guy. He wasn't nothing soft about homie. He was putting on respectively for Roosevelt. You know what I mean? He had a little crew of dudes with him that they was, you know, getting busy, whatever, doing their thing. Roosevelt and proximity was like about 2 to 3 blocks, 4 blocks down from the hood of Sumner. And Mitch knew some dudes from my hood that was a part of my, you know what I mean, team. He knew Hunt and he knew Hatch. And, you know, so like I said, some dudes get get passes or whatever just on the strength of who they know or whatever. But the story went that, you know, Mitch was in the hood. He was probably up the hill on the other side with Tiffany and them bros or whatever. And it was coming curfew time, and I guess some of the homies that was on that side on patrol must have approached them and whatever, and, you know, said what they said to him, and he kind of like bucked or whatever. Said what he said basically on some like, you know what I mean, he wasn't going nowhere type of shit. And I guess the dudes that approached him didn't really know who he was, so they called us. We was on the other. We ran over there and shit. Long story short, get there, me and Hash and all of us, we see him. He like, oh, nah, hold on, that's my son, Mitch from Roosevelt, he good. So I'm like, all right, homie, well, that's on you. Since you said he good, then you have to explain to your homie, you know what I mean, what the rules are and what we doing down here. Nothing personal to him, but like, you know what I mean? He, you know, at a certain time, dudes got to be the fuck up out of here, and that's just how it's going down. There was no variation to that or nothing until we got things in line the way we saw fit, you know, the way we got, you know, we felt things were being able to be regulated and organized, because I told you dudes was coming through, violating and coming to see bros and probably backing out hammers on dudes and all that. So I told you we was the hammer hunters too. Dudes had guns, we heard about it, we was marching down on you to take that if we caught you slipping. So basically, Mitch caught the pass that day, you know what I mean? My homie Hash explained to him whatever, and he got up out of there. And then years later, when I seen him down the line and we talked about that, we was up north behind the wall, some of the war stories. He was like, yeah, bro, I remember y'all dudes ran down on me. I ain't trying to show no fear, nothing, but I already knew how y'all played. But, you know, after that, we stopped bringing our asses up there after 8:30. You know what I mean? Unless, you know, we let the homies go. So that was basically protocol, like kind of sort of. Once the dudes started getting cool and branching out and connecting with other dudes, because it was live dudes, like I said, everywhere. So once dudes was connecting with other dudes, those same live dudes that we was fucking with, that was allowed to come amongst us and come in our hoods and all that, would let us know that they coming or send word, like, you know what I mean? Because, you know, hoods are big. You know, they have several sides, more than one side. And just, you know, somebody on one side might not know what's going on necessarily on the other side. So that's why we try to always keep those lines of communication open, so that everybody will be on the same page. And there won't be those type of incidents where somebody didn't know somebody, they was cool, they might have had a pass or whatever. You know what I mean? And then dudes get to going back and forth, and it leads to a situation. So that Project Patrol was kind of like implemented to stop all the outsiders from coming into the hood and basically, you know what I mean, disrespecting or doing whatever they wanted to do. So yeah, that was the Project Patrol situation.
So was it ever anybody who tried to pull out a gun and throw shots at y'all doing that?
Of course. There was lots of dudes that was was trying to resist whatever, but like I said, it's about the consistency. So we consistently put on with the Project Patrol and chasing dudes up out the hoods and blaming at dudes. Mind you, this was before the wars with the other cats, like the Bushwood cats and all that. This was in our earlier stages when we was regulating and getting the love and respect of the people from the hoods. We was doing that. But once we graduated past that, a couple of years after that, so the beef stages and the war stages, then, you know, motherfuckers didn't care about your Project Patrol and all that. If they was coming in and try to put work in on you, they was coming to put on. So, you know, Project Patrol eventually fizzled out and went out the window, but I was just giving the history of that period of time when we implemented that. But yeah, dudes definitely did try to come through or not come through. If they was already in it, they was trying to buck. We had a couple dudes that tried to buck. Oh, well, I ain't going nowhere until you hit them upside the head with the hammer. You know what I mean? You clunk a couple dudes upside the head and they get the point and see you not playing around. They get the fuck out of it. It's always hard heads. It's always hard-headed dudes like that. Just, you know, that they need a little bit more incentive. They have to be incentivized. You know what I mean, LAZ, in a little bit more of a sterner way to get the point. So yeah, that was that situation.
So how
with the
how old was y'all when that was going down? You said like
the Project Patrol.
Yeah, like
that was like Project Patrol would have been like 15, like 15, because we started getting into the heavy, serious beefs around that. So yeah, Project Patrol was like 14 or 15, and then everything else was from like 15 to 17, 18, whatever, around that age. So the heavy beefs, right, putting on wars and all that other shit.
Is Sumner one of them hoods that one side don't really fuck with the other side?
So that's a fact. So it was like that. It was like that before we had it, and then it was like that after we went to prison. But when we had it, we kind of unified it. You know what I mean? Unified. So boom, I was the dude that a lot of dudes liked. So Sumner was a couple sides. Sumner was my side. So on dudes on my side, we call it the first side. But the dudes on the other side, they call their side the first side. My side is the side from, so if you was on Marcus Garvey and you went to the right, Marcus Garvey's a one-way. So if you growing up Marcus Garvey from, let's say, Park Avenue. So if you on Park and Marcus Garvey, you go straight up to Myrtle. You make the right on Myrtle, so now you on Myrtle. You're on Myrtle Avenue between Sumner Ave, and then you go down to Troop. You make that right on Troop Avenue, and you take Troop Avenue from Troop Avenue back over to Park Avenue. So that's the square. So you have Park, Sumner, Myrtle, Troop. That's one side. That's the right side, first side, whatever, the second side. The side closest to 59 Park. Across the street from us, on the left side of Marcus Garvey Sumner Ave. It would be the same thing. It would be Park Ave, then it would be Sumner Ave, then it would be to the left, Myrtle Ave. Take Myrtle Ave up to Lewis Ave, then you turn left down Lewis Ave, and you bring Lewis Ave back down to Park Ave, and that's the other side. So that's the two sides. So before we came into it, it was, and then it's two sides again, four sides. So it's the Myrtle side, two sides on each side of the project. The Myrtle side, which is we consider up the hill, and the Park Ave side, which we consider down the hill. So it's the up the hill dudes on the Myrtle Ave side, the down the hill dudes on the Park Ave side. Same thing across the street. Up the hill dudes on the Myrtle Avenue side, down the hill dudes on the Park Avenue side. So at various times throughout the history of Sumner, the dudes from the Park Avenue side was going at it with the dudes from the Myrtle Avenue side on both sides of the projects, or it would be the dudes from the other side of my projects by the Myrtle and Lewis and Park was going at it with the dudes from my side, which was the Park Ave, Sumner and Troop. So yeah, those were the wars with, I can't even say wars, those were situations, because before me, dudes was going at it and shit, but it's kind of like, so the dudes before me, the Hicks and all them, the Nilses and the Hicks and the Agars and the Naturals and all them, they kind of showed us a little bit of what a blend would look like, because Hicks was from my building in the back on the Sumner and Park Avenue side, and Natural and all of them, Hicks and Agar and Knowledge, and then the Natural and Shannon and all them dudes was up from the Myrtle Avenue side, and then the dude VL that used to be running around with them, he was from up there on the Lewis Avenue and Myrtle side. So when them dudes used to come through, and then Majesty was from my side, in front of my building. Originally he was on the Sumner Ave. His mom's them lived in that building there. Then Linda, we referred to her back then as Mama Lynn, she moved over to the Park Avenue side in front of my building, and Madge was, so me and Madge was in buildings facing each other, like my building here, his building across the grass facing my building. So when them dudes was running around, Hicks and all them, whatever, and then Madge used to be running with them, all them dudes, that was a combination of everybody. That was a combination of down the hill on the Park Avenue side, up the hill on the Myrtle Avenue side, my side of the projects, and then across the street with VL and them. So they kind of showed us a little bit of what it would look like if you had dudes incorporated from all the whole encompassing Sumner, and then we took it 30 levels beyond that once they went to jail and we started running. We incorporated the whole projects, practically dudes from every building in the projects. At one point or another, we was rocking out, and we was running around running up in other projects and doing what we was doing and going to war with other dudes and doing what we was doing respectively for our projects. And everybody that was from Sumner knew that, you know, when you from Sumner, you gotta, it's a lot of shoes to fill, because like I said, like, so my big homies, Ardard and Hicks and all that, when they caught their case and they went to jail, and we was resonating, coming up behind them, trying to make our names resonate and our names buzz in the hood, they was putting on in prison. So we would constantly talk to them on the phone and hear about the stories of them putting on in prison. Those were the dudes that in '87 changed the way, you know, cats forever went to court in Brooklyn. Well,
somebody was asking me about that too the other day. They was like, yo, if tell Black Knowledge to tell you the story about what them niggas from Sumner did in the courtroom.
Right, so that's a funny transitional story, because as I'm leading into it, look, so that's crazy. So you getting actual history, because you're getting inquiries about stuff that I didn't even tell you about with respect to the Sumner history and how our legacy came about and how dudes felt, you know, they had to live up to certain standards and fill shoes and take it even bigger. So the story with that was, like, you know, like I said, my big homies, at the time it was Ardard, his brother Hicks, Natural, and Shannon, if I'm not mistaken. Those four individuals, and they had whatever they had, their legal situation, whatever, they was fighting the man down, whatever, and they was respectively on an island, and so Ardard had already did time, right? So Ardard had already did time. So Ardard was just fresh coming home in that part of the 80s when we was coming up putting on. So whatever Ardard was, that's what we call him, RG. Whatever RG was doing with his homies that was older than us, that was before our time. So when he came home, he saw that we had the hood. So, he used to come through, war stories, whatever. RG was more militant. Hickey Doo was the fly one, all the jewels. Hickey Doo always had the bad chicks coming through. He the one who got us steamed out for the trail bikes and the motorcycles and all that. Natural was on some pretty boy chocolate type shit. He was up the hill. He was always fresh in his valleys and his tight nylons, because Natural did a bit, and I think he was from the islands, one of the West Indian islands, and he had one of the physiques that, when he worked out, he crazy chisel. And then, Shannon was just a big, heavy set dude, whatever. So they had this situation. They was in court. So the stories that I got from Hicks and Ardard and all them, the main characters, the main players in them situations, was like, Ardard was like, listen, bro, and this is straight from Ardard's mouth. When he told it to me years later, as he told the story to me, he was like, listen, now, bro, I just finished giving them people all that time. I didn't really get a chance to, shine and do my thing on the streets and shit. And then I caught that situation and dudes folded and told and all that wild shit. His thing was like, if he had to go back up top and if he get found guilty, they was going to remember him. He was going to do something. He was going to put on magnificently so that because he figured that if he was going back up top, he was never going to see the streets again. So he wanted to make a statement. So as the story went, they blew trial or whatever. And I'm not sure, the fact checkers could whatever straighten it out or give their input. I'm not sure if it was at the actual sentencing, when they got their time, or when it was at the point where they caught the guilty verdict from the jury. But, they turned up. Back then it was easier to sneak knives and razors and all that into the court pens and all that. You wasn't handcuffed and all of that the way, and shackled the way they, implemented after that situation. So I'm not sure, again, if it was after the guilty verdict or if it was upon sentencing when they heard the time that they got, they wigged out. Wigged out. And so I got permission to tell an accurate, 100% correct story. So I'm going to tell an accurate, 100% correct story. So the legend is, and the myth is that, they was trying to, pull a George Jackson or something, Soledad brother escape. That wasn't it. What happened was, again, like I said, somebody in the situation didn't stand tall, and, gave up statements and went to the left. I guess and then brothers felt that you know, the result of them losing was because of, you know, this person that didn't stand tall. So they was trying to get to this person. You know what I mean? Where some people thought they was just trying to get to the police to get up out the courtroom. No, they was trying to stab this person and cut this person or kill this person, get at this person, and the court officers tried to intervene and get in the way of that or try to prevent that from happening. And then it went from not only trying to get you, but fuck it, we might as well just go all out and get crazy, to banging up the police officers. So that's what happened. They was going after somebody that didn't stand tall in the situation. The court officers intervened, and they banged out the court officers, stabbed up court officers, cut court officers and all that. And, you know, they ended up getting extra time on top of the sentences. And the crazy shit is everybody home now. This was back in the 80s. So all of the dudes that I mentioned that was involved in that particular situation, everybody home now, doing their thing, flourishing, and, you know, living a productive, positive life. But it was that Sumner legacy that...
Did any lawyers or DAs get cut?
I would probably have to get with my big bros and find out exactly who got cut. But yeah, everybody was getting it. Whoever didn't get out of Dodge was getting it. But normally, you know how the judge probably hit the deck or flew through the back door, top speed, bitch ass style like they do. And the lawyers, you know how they do, tuck and roll, running over. They probably got out of the way. The security staff, the correction officers, they have to, you know, engage. The lawyers and the judge don't have to engage. The court officers have to engage all, any hostile acts. So they engaged, and I guess they probably thought that when they engaged, that dudes were just going to comply and put their hands behind their back. And nah, it didn't go like that. They got a lesson in Sumner history, and they became a part of Sumner history and the legend of Sumner through the acts of, my big bros when they put on in the court building. So look, when dudes do stuff like that, right, lads, and they from your hood, it just, I don't know, just from us being in the hood and the way we grew up, that's like legendary to us because nobody did that. So our thing was, how can we top that? And the way my team, the way we topped that was our situations that we got into with the police. So that's going to be, enough, as these stories developing, our situation was, all right, the homies put on with the court officers and all that, and they got guns in there and all that, but okay, so we used to always sit around, lads. And
court officers had guns at that time?
Yeah, I was quite sure court officers had guns, yeah. Court officers carry guns. I'm quite sure I might have to fact check.
They might have changed the law. Sure. They might have been the ones that made them dudes start carrying guns in the courtroom.
After that, right? Okay, so that might be a fact. That might came after, but I know that from the last interactions that I recall from going to court, I would see them with the hammers. Yeah, they had maybe now.
Yeah, now I see them with the hammers all the time, but I wonder if they had the hammers. What year you said that happened in?
That happened in 1987. 1987. So whoever be doing, checking on that history could check to see if court officers had hammers back then, or if they just had, I don't know what if they didn't have hammers, what they had? Handcuffs? A nightstick? Mace? I mean, they had to have something, right? Because how would they deter or deflect or neutralize a situation? Or somebody might be trying to break out, or somebody might try to run in there with the blicky and break their man out or some. This is real life shit, homie. This is how we used to think. So people that hear these stories and think, oh, that's so far-fetched, they wouldn't have did that. Yeah, we would have did that, and we was doing that, and we did more than that. Facts. This is Brooklyn's factual history. None of this shit is made up or fantasy, nothing. I told you before that everything was real. And everything that we was doing, homie, was real. So, right.
So they just
they
just gave them they ran their sentences for that concurrent with the trial that they had blown? Or did they get more time for that and all of that?
Yeah, so I think that time was ran consecutive to the time that they got. So as a result of that situation, everybody got the quarter. Even the dude that didn't stand tall like that. So that was the confusion shit to us, right? And that's enough. Like that, we go definitely. And I told you before, LAZ, before I even agreed to do these conversations, which I said we're gonna talk about everything. And so what I'm leading up to with the everything is that, like I said, everybody got a quarter, including the dude that didn't stand tall. I don't know how he did it, if he made the statements or whatever. So back then, that was considered telling to us. So my thing was, damn, boy, you told, and you still got the same amount of time as everybody else. You still got the elbow. You got that tag on your jacket that you got to live with for the rest of your life, and you got official cats riding after you. So when we talk about this telling shit, guys, and how prevalent it is and how accepted it is, man, that one right there is going to be a hot one, because that bothers me a lot, because every time I went to the joint, it was because of a dude that was supposed to be stand up and wasn't, bro. Like, and my thing is this, bro. Everybody's not a street cat, right? Everybody don't put on the same way, right? But as young men, we knew the differences between rights and wrongs, and for the most part, we made conscious decisions. So with respect to that type of shit, homie, with me, if you make a conscious decision to live a certain way of life, you're supposed to stand on that. Everything that comes with it. So sometimes I'm thinking, like, what do dudes think? That everything in the street life is glitz and glam and glory without no penalties or consequences? You think you just gonna have a reign of terror or a spree of getting money without having to face some sort of legal consequences? Everybody in the game knows that the game comes with consequences. So how dudes can try to justify backdooring situations and telling and getting out of situations to just to save their own ass, it bothers me. And that's why when we had that private conversation about, I was like, damn, LAZ, like, we got to talk about some things before I put myself on your platform, because, you may have did put these type of people on, and I don't fuck with that or whatever. I said what I said. You said what you said. We ended up respecting it, of having a difference of opinion, because that can happen. People can disagree, agree to disagree, respect the other person's position, and then move forward. So my position has always been, and it's always going to be, bro, I don't stand with nobody that do no telling type of shit to benefit themselves at the expense of somebody else. If we a crew, a team of dudes, and we are putting on, and we know the consequences of our acts, if it ever comes a time that we gonna be held accountable and have to stand court for our acts, then I expect everybody to stand firm on and hold it down. If they could prove what we did, then they could prove. We ain't agreeing popping out to nothing unless they show us that they got us. That's how the game goes. You got to show, well, at least for me, was I'm going to trial unless you show me that you got me. If I see that you got me and there's no other way for me to go out, then I might take a deal or whatever, but no cooperation, but I might plead guilty. But if I feel like you can't prove what you're alleging or charging me, then we go on to trial. And that's it. I'm not telling on nobody to get out of my situation and all that, because when I was doing whatever the fuck it was that I was doing, that I knew that was illegal, I understood the consequences, homie, and I respected it, and I was willing to take those chances, and I did what I did. So for me to fall under pressure, like, boy, nah, because to us, like I said, we wanted to go to jail, so fuck it. If we go to jail, we gonna put on. Ain't gonna be no telling. We going to jail, we gonna put on the same way we was putting on in the streets. Dudes gonna respect us and hear about us all through the jails the same way they respected us and heard about us in the street. So all of the vague excuses and the ambiguous excuses and then the extravagant excuses and all that shit I hear about dudes giving on numerous of these internet shits about telling and all that. Nah, homie, you ain't gonna get that from over here. You gonna get the shit that dudes ain't gonna like to hear, which is the real deal. You're supposed to hold it down, homie. That's what we did. We held it down. You're supposed to hold it down because I get it. Everybody say different sets of rules. Dudes don't abide by whatever. I done heard, oh, the streets is dead. Oh, dudes is following codes that other dudes don't. Yeah, dudes is dudes is not following codes and doing all that other shit, homie, because nobody's implementing nothing and standing on nothing. Like, you see dudes embracing dudes for telling and making up excuses for why they told, and taking a position and attitude like, fuck it, he ain't tell on me, so I ain't got no problem with him. You know, we cool, you know, fuck it, as long as he ain't tell on me, I'm cool. Nah, bro, a snitch or a rat or whatever, it's like a snake, bro. And the way I was taught, you always supposed to cut a snake head off, because if you don't cut a snake's head off, you're going to give him a chance to swivel around you and bite you again, and some other, because that's the nature of a snake. It's just going to bite something and eat. That's it.
And the reality is, bro, the reality is, dudes that stand firm like you is a very small minority in the streets. Because the shit that I've read, like, you know, I read a lot, bro. The shit that I've read, and I read a lot of motherfucking, you know, books about crime and punishment. And the statistics is staggering on how many people actually tell. You feel me? So when I do this background research and find out how many motherfuckers done told, that shit is a serious sign to stay the fuck out the streets and leave the streets alone, my nigga, because, you know, according to statistics, they say 1 in 3 active criminals is either also an active informant or was at one time an active informant. You feel me? Like, the streets is treacherous, and it is a few motherfuckers, a handful of niggas that they ain't never gonna break those rules. They gonna go to jail for the rest of their life before they ruin their reputation and be called a rat. But the average motherfuckers, bro, they gonna save their own ass and tell.
Was telling on dudes and all that. So my thing is, those statistics that you started, not only are they alarming and somewhat scary, but to me personally, they're disgusting. And the reason that they're disgusting is because there's no reason for the telling. So like, and the reason I say there's no reason for the telling, because you can simply do the time, and then, or you can simply fight the case. Like, a lot of times, bro, what dudes don't understand, strictly speaking to the younger generation of individuals that's in the street, yo, if you could get out of the streets and find something more productive and better to do that. But if you choose not to do that and you playing the street game, know and understand that this street game more than likely is going to involve consequences. And some of those consequences are either going to be you getting your shit knocked off, or you having to stand before, you know what I mean, the court of law and answer to what they consider to be crimes. My thing is that, in knowing that, right, knowing what your options are, possible death or prison or whatever, then you have to think and say, and weigh it, right? Say, do I want to do that? Nah. Okay, if I do decide to do that, then let me do that with some morals and with some respect and some you know, some codes of ethics. Let me stand on what I say I'm gonna do. If I'm gonna be a criminal, then I'm gonna be a real criminal. I'm not gonna be no half-ass criminal. I'm not gonna fold and tell under pressure and all that shit. Like I said, those statistics of dudes telling all that, that's a fact. It's alarming and it's disgusting. But, you know, sometimes I think a lot of shit happens because where's the OGs giving out the game? Where's the dudes giving out the insightful information?